Alright, so last time we got our little game running up and running. We had it where our box can move around, our player, in all the different directions using WASD. And so that's really clean and nice, and it's using sprites. So what we're going to do now is create a something that it can collide with. So we want to work on collisions a little bit. So we're going to create a wall object or a wall class, and then add that to our game, and then allow our player to collide with it. We're using sprites in Rex. We already have collisions built in, so we don't have to write a bunch of collision code. So it makes us build our game a little bit faster. So let's go ahead and do that first. So let's go ahead and make new and Python file, and just call it wall.py. All right, so this is actually going to be really similar to player. It's almost identical to player, to be honest. A little bit different. We could have done inheritance and had a base thing. Let's just go ahead and copy this stuff from the top. And we'll just paste it in here. So we're going to change our date real quick. We do need math, not math yet. We do need PyGame vector 2s. Player is now going to be called wall. We do want sprites. In here, instead of doing our PyGame sprite.sprites init, what we're going to do now is just super, and then we're just going to do init, and then we're just going to call that. And if we do that, it's actually the same thing as in player where we do PyGame sprite.init itself. So we don't even need the self right here. So we do need a couple things very similar. Self.image, we'll need that. So that's just a PyGame.surf. And then we want to give it our width and height. And what we're going to do here is for our class, we're just going to take an x, a y, width, and a height. So for our init. And that gives us our width and height. After that, we want to go ahead and set our rect. So self.rect. And we can do the same thing as we did before. We can just do self.image.getRect. And then it gives us a rectangle. So what we're going to do a little different here is we're going to set the x and y independently since we have them both. So self.rect.x equals x. Self.rect.y equals y. And see, these are already built in for us. We still want to give us a position though, because we want to do our math equations on if we're going to ever move a wall, if we wanted a moving wall, or if it was a platform. We would want to be able to do some math on it, but we're going to just go ahead and do self.position. We don't even need it right now, so let's not even worry about that right now. We'll do that later if we ever need it. And sprites do have updates. This update is just going to be a pass. We don't really need it. We don't really need it for anything. Actually, we want DT. DT is the only thing we want if we ever used it. And we're going to just do override update. And we're just going to do pass. If we ever want to do something with it, we can. Maybe it's a wall that does something over time. And that's going to be our wall for now. It's really simple, just a basic image. We do need a color though, so self.color equals, let's do different. So we'll do yellow, 2d5, 0. And then what we can do just at the beginning is self.image.fill, and then self.color, and then we know what color it is. And if we ever wanted to change color, we could later. We'll just do that for now. All right, so now we need to add it to the game. So the game will need to import it, and we'll just do it right here with player wall. My phone's going off. Okay. Now we want to go in our groups. We already have all sprites. We want to go ahead and make another group, and I'm just going to copy this and then put another one in, and just call it called walls. And it is a sprite group as well. And then on our new, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to make sure it's overwritten and it's an empty list again, or empty group. Now we just need to make a temp wall. We could do a whole level if we wanted to. And all we need to do is wall.wall, and then give it our XY. So our XY, let's just make it 0, 0. We're just going to make it the top of the screen. And then width and height, let's just do a width of 800, and then a size of 50, or a height of 50. That way we have like a little rect at the top of the screen. So let's add this. We need to do that same thing, self.allsprites.add. And we want to do temp wall. And then we want to go ahead and do the same thing for our walls. So player won't be in walls, but temp wall will. We need to make sure that's a tuple. So there we go. So now we have a big yellow wall up there. So let's see if we can charge into it. We might want to increase our speed. All right, so right now, if you notice, we're not really calling any interaction between them. It's just a render queue. That's all we're doing. If we want our player drawn on top two, we just change our add order, I'm pretty sure. If we added the player second, we should be able to. Let's go ahead and increase player speed too. I'm pretty sure we'll draw on top. It's just order of adding. Yeah, so we'll draw on top. So now we want to make sure we can collide with this, which we can do this in game or we can do it in player. Let's do it in player. So when our player gets created, let's feed it the game. So we actually feed it the game. So now we need the game. So we need a reference for the game. So self.game, the game it's related to, and just equals game. All right. And to do that in our game, we can actually just, when we call player, just feed itself, and now it has reference to the game. That way it can reference things. We don't need to do all this whole feeding DT or anything anymore, really. Or events press. We can actually just get self.game.events, game events, and self.game.pressed. So inputs, events pressed, those are easy, and that just grabs that easy as can be. And we don't even need these fed anymore. We can just get rid of this. Game, whenever it does input, it can actually just get rid of that when it does player input. Let me just get rid of that. I'm just calling input. Actually, we don't even need to call it anymore either. Do it. We don't even need to call it there. That's fine. We can actually get rid of it entirely at this point. So what we need to do is actually get our collisions. So what we can do here is after we move, we want to check our box or our rect versus the rects of the walls. So we can gather hits. So our hits equals, and this can be a temporary variable because it's going to be changed every frame. And then PyGame dot sprite. And if we go into the documents, there's something called sprite collide, and there's collide any. We're just going to use collide, and it's going to take a sprite versus a group of sprites. So if you can see, it says sprite, group, do, kill, collide. So sprite is what sprite are we asking if we're colliding with. Group is the group we're comparing that one sprite to. Do, kill is do we kill that sprite whenever it collides, and then collided on the end. We'll just go ahead and leave it as none for now. Let's go ahead and do this then. So self is our sprite. That's pretty easy. And then what we're going to do is self.game.walls. And then we're going to do false for kill. And that's going to feed us a bunch of hits. Okay. Now that we have our hits, we want to check to see if it doesn't return none, because normally it would return none. But if there is collision, it will return a list of hits for us. So we're going to loop through that. So for hit in our hits. Now what we can do is check the absolute sides of the rects versus ours. Remember, we get this huge wide rect at the top, so we want to make sure we're careful with where our collisions are. So we know we're colliding. We're checking that already. So what we want to do is make sure we put ourselves in the right position. We only can hit it from the bottom right now. So if absolute of, let's see, hit.rect.bottom, because we can hit the bottom of it, minus self.rect.top. If the absolute of that is greater than or equal to, or no, sorry, less than or equal to self.rect.height divided by third. So if it's less than a third of us, we want to go ahead and, because we could be moving faster than what our collision box is. If it is within that range, we want to go ahead and set our Y position to either at the bottom of the rect, or we want to set it a little bit below. I'm going to make a bouncing effect, so it looks like we're bouncing away from it. So if we do self.rect.y equals, and we go, self.position.y, position.y equals, and we're going to take the hit, and then we want to do rect.bottom, and what I want to do is go ahead and add our rect heights from it, so we can always push back away from it. So self.rect.height. And now we know this will automatically push our rect back to where it needs to be. So, but when we hit the bottom of this this wall, it'll push us away a full width of our character. So if we run and do it right now, and we hit it, boom, 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 boom. It keeps pushing us away. So that's a good thing. But we can't move through it anymore. If we want to reduce this a little bit, we just want to say position Y. Actually, we're setting center. So let's do rect bottom plus self.rect height divided by 2. So that's our center. So boom. Now we're up against it because we're setting exactly our position to the exact distance we need to be away from it. So we can still come out of it. Now we cannot collide with it. Now the one thing is what will happen is we're not doing like a volumetric sweep where if we're moving too fast, we would still go through the wall if the collision was not thick enough because we're moving faster than the collision can detect. So you want to make sure you're not moving too fast. So all right, so there's that, guys. Hope that helped. Hope you can get some collision in there. You always have to check from which side you're aiming at for what you need to hit. So make sure that you're checking your velocities and everything like that when you're hitting things to make sure that you don't go through things. All right. Hope that helps. Bye, guys.